Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Terrestrial Nomad, the podcast. I am sitting currently in Etna, California. Today's date is August the 2nd, 2015. The last time I recorded, I was at Squaw Valley Creek, and I was trying to get a hitch from that trailhead by some day hikers. Sat around there beating the heat for about 4 or 5 hours, and ended up getting a ride from my friend who lived in Shasta, who I'd met in a previous hike in Trinity Alps Wilderness. His name's Thomas. He provided me with such amazing trail magic. He picked me up at the trailhead. I had enough service to text, and then got a ride out of that trailhead. I forget what it's called. And he took me to his house, but before he took me to his house, he helped me resupply and got a bunch of food at Ray's. And then he also bought me 2 6-packs of beer and a pint of ice cream, which was very unexpected and very much appreciated. It was super cool, especially because he doesn't drink, but he knew I did, so he bought some beers for me, which was great. Yes, so I stayed at his house. That was like Wednesday night or something. And then I actually was talking to him, and I was saying how I'd love to go up Mount Shasta. I've driven down it I've driven down the 5 a few times, and you know, you always see Mount Shasta just sitting up there above 14,000 feet looking amazing. But I always thought that you it was a technical climb where you needed crampons and ice axes and everything. And when I told my plans but wanting to go up, his eyes lit up, and I knew he was in. So his first available date he could do it was Saturday. So I actually ended up staying with him 2 nights. And he lives in Weed now, and so stayed with him 2 nights. And then while he was at work during the day, he dropped me off, and I just hung around Shasta for a couple days and really dug the town. And there's a lot of travelers and weirdos and hippies, and just a lot of good people, a lot of fun. And yeah, it was quite nice. So then on Friday night, he picked me up after he got off work. We already had our stuff all packed up and in his truck or his car, and went up to the trailhead, Clear Creek Trailhead, I believe it's called. We got there at about 5 or 6 p.m., so we still had quite a bit of daylight, and we were talking about it, and we decided to just go camp up by the first closest, or the only water source up there is the spring. So we got about an hour in that night, maybe a few miles, and 1,000 feet up or so. So I think we only had 6,000 feet left to climb for tomorrow to get to the summit. There was reported weather that was going to be rolling in around 11 a.m., so we woke up at 2 a.m., and I think we got on the trail at about 2:30, 2:45. So we did end up summiting at about 7:15 or something like that. The summit was amazing. The hike was pretty brutal because the volcanic scree. There was no snow, so the crampons and ice axe were just extra weight in our bags, but we both agreed that it was better safe than sorry. We had a really good climb up. Thomas seems to be in better shape than I was. And yeah, we got to the summit, had a little bit of food. I think there was one other guy up there before us, but we were basically the second and third people up on that day. Saw the trail register, had a bunch of other PCT hikers the day before, some of the people bagging second lunch, and Duffel Miner, a few of those guys were up there. It was good to see some PCT names in that summit book. We got back down, and then I asked if Thomas could drive me down to Etna, so I ended up skipping about 90 PCT miles. So this is it's one of my bigger skips, but I took 3 days off in Shasta, and I had a plan to take another day in Etna. So I think what I skipped was what I would have probably hiked if I didn't stay in Shasta for 3 days and hike to the summit. But all in all, it's, this adventure is kind of, you choose your own adventure, really. You don't have to go by the book so much, but I've still got the California blues, so I just not doing those miles made a world of difference for my attitude. Got dropped off at Etna yesterday, and there was some sort of hotel or bed and breakfast that this woman was renting out. There was a weird hiker loophole that we found where if you just rent one room, he asked how many people could sleep there, and she said as many as you want, just no one can be on the beds except for the room you've rented. So we had about 15 to 20 people there last night, and it was a, kind of a hostel setup. So there was a kitchen and a bathroom and everything else, and we just watched DVDs all night, got drunk. Someone made a bunch of edible brownies, and everybody was pretty much annihilated the whole night. A slip and slide happened at one point. That was pretty awesome. So took a rest in Etna, and now I'm just sitting around Etna hanging out. It's me and Bender are chilling in front of the library right now. He just got back from Ray's. We got some sodas and what's that? Peanuts, nice. And there's a local dog with no collar just hanging out. I think he's the mayor of the town. His name is, what was it? Chocolate boy. He's a cute dog on the porch hanging out with us. We're about to head to a camp and drink some beers and just chill out. And then I'll probably try to get a hitch back up to the trail later today. Maybe get a couple miles in and then just sleep there. That way I can get to it tomorrow. Hey there. A few miles to Oregon, and then a few more miles to Ashland. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So summited Mount Shasta, partied in Etna, and that's about it. I've got nothing left to say. I'll talk to you later. Bye.